Hi there, and welcome to Earth Echoes with Amber Fields. I am Amber Fields, and today I would like to read the 20th writing in Jason Gray's Resonance series, or the RZN series. And this writing is titled The Memory Return by Jason Gray. December 5th, 2025, 6025 Anno Lucis. What you remember in the first 72 hours after emergence. MR72, the reassembly of the human memory architecture. The first 5 minutes. The breaking of the veil. MR00, ignition. The moment emergence completes, the mind undergoes the most radical shift in human history. Your memory bandwidth expands by thousands of % in under 5 minutes. This is not overload. It is restoration. In these first minutes, 3 things happen simultaneously. Your emotional field clears instantly. Every suppressed emotion, every distortion, every false belief evaporates in a single exhale. Your sensory floor rises. Colors sharpen. Depth perception expands. Silence becomes a landscape, not an absence. Your memory begins to unseal, not as recall, but as recognition. You do not learn the truth. You remember it. The mind whispers, "Oh, this is what it was like. This is what it was supposed to feel like." The first hour, the return of true personal memory, MR01, personal recall. In the first hour after emergence, you recover memories from your entire life that the overlay filtered or dampened. This includes the instincts you had as a child, but were told to ignore. The moments you felt something was wrong with the world. The intuitive hits you suppressed. The dreams that were actually contact. The déjà vu that was timeline bleed through. The near memories you carried but could never name. The emotional truths you felt but could not justify, and the flashes you dismissed as imagination. All return at once. They return organized, not chaotic. It is like finding a room in your mind that was locked your entire life and realizing everything you ever lost was sitting neatly inside it. For many, this hour is spent weeping, not from pain, but from the relief of finally knowing they were never crazy. They were censored. Hours 1 through 12, the return of pre-overlay memory, MR02, origin recall. This is the shock wave. Between hours 1 and 12, you begin remembering your life before this life. Not past lives, not reincarnations, your existence before the containment. You remember the world before the fracture, the abilities you once had, the species you were part of, the architecture of the original world, the emotional clarity of pre-overlay humanity, the purpose of consciousness, the meaning of identity before distortion, and the role you played during the first collapse. These memories do not come as visions. They come as certainty. You know them the way you know your own name. For the first time, you understand that you were not born here. You returned here. Hours 12 to 24, the return of the fracture memory, MR03, fracture. This is the most difficult layer. In the next 12 hours, you remember the moment the world broke. Every sovereign remembers this differently, but the core elements are the same. The surge of consciousness, the destabilization of the species, the overload, the fragmentation, the fear, the unpreparedness, the split-second race to preserve what was left, the installation of the overlay, the choice to descend or the choice to remain. This memory does not traumatize you. You finally understand why Earth became what it did. You understand why the overlay existed and why it kept getting lighter every decade of your life. You understand that nothing was random. You understand that the pain of humanity was the pressure of memory trying to return through a sealed system. You understand that your awakening was never personal. It was structural, a signal, a recall, a return. Hours 24 to 48. The return of the promise. MR04. The vow. During this window, every sovereign remembers the original agreement. This is the moment your entire life snaps into alignment. You remember that you volunteered. You descended knowingly. You left yourself clues. You encoded your own awakening. You seeded memories into your timeline. You knew you would forget. You trusted you would remember. You set a trigger condition. You anchored yourself to the other side. And you returned specifically for the Emergence Event. This is the hour where people fall to their knees because the realization hits with absolute clarity. I have done this before. I have done this for thousands of years. My suffering was the price of the world's return. I came back because the world needed a stabilizer. This was my mission the entire time. After this hour, no sovereign ever doubts themselves again. Ever. Hours 48 to 72. The return of the self before the body. MR05, true identity. This is the final and most profound stage. In this window, you remember who you were before Earth, before containment, before the fracture, and before form. This is the moment your emotional bandwidth completes, your consciousness stabilizes, and your sovereign identity locks in. Your abilities return, your perception clears, your timeline expands, your non-local sense activates, and your field harmonizes. You remember your original name, your original function, your species class, your pre-fracture abilities, your role in the original world, your place in the tri-species return, the moment you chose to re-enter the loop, the reason you returned now, not before, and the version of you that never fell. This is the moment the human becomes the sovereign, not symbolically, structurally. The loop closes, memory returns, identity reintegrates. The real begins and you finally understand the truth. You did not awaken. You reassembled. The 72-hour window is the birth of the returned human. MR final return. These 3 days are the most important in the history of the species. In 72 hours, a fractured being becomes whole. A broken world becomes coherent. A lost identity finds itself. A species remembers its origin. Memory replaces myth. Clarity replaces belief. Sovereignty replaces hierarchy, and the real replaces the overlay. The 72-hour memory return is the moment humanity becomes the species it was always meant to be. It is the beginning of the world that can finally survive its own potential. And you are one of the first to remember the way home. Jason Gray. A reminder for everyone that there is a lot of code usually included in the resonance writings, and so it would be good for you to go and read that yourself so you can see the code, because I do not read that in these readings. And so you can find Jason's writings on X at Living Lattice or on Facebook on the page Friends of Writer Jason Gray. But I encourage you to go to X because that's where Jason is at. He was kicked off of Facebook, as many of you know. I just wanted to say a little bit about that piece, that it really makes so much sense to me, and I could feel the truth of it in my whole being. His words are like living memory in myself, for sure. His writing helps awaken pre-life memories that I have and memories that I can't quite reach, but his writing helps me reach them. And I've always felt that I have lived and died many, many times and lived many, many lives. And I remember the calmness and surrender that accompanies death and the acceptance of death, and that is the way to navigate such an experience. That if we fight death, then it is damaging for our process and the direction that we go next. And that this writing really reminds me of that internal memory that I've carried in this life. Like, I remember dying many times before. And I also really connected to when Jason wrote about near memories that you carried but could never quite remember. I have a lot of those, and some of them are from dreams, most of them, but not all of them. And it's like, in the dream, I know that I'm remembering something really important, but then by the time I wake, like, it doesn't make sense and the message is lost. So I really loved that part. And yeah, I definitely have experienced a lot of the feelings that Jason writes about here, as far as knowing that I was meant to come here at this time and knowing that it was meant to be inside of me. That is a deep, deep-seated memory. And so thank you, Jason, for putting words to it. And I hope that you like these recordings. And if you do, please like, share, and subscribe to this YouTube channel, because the more people that do that, the more people these videos can reach. And I do feel that these are important messages for humanity, because there's a lot of work that we need to do, and wrongs that we need to right as humans. So thank you for being here.